All right, guys, beautiful day here in Seattle. Testing out the new GoPro 7 as a vlogging rig. I just got it yesterday. So I thought I would do a what's in my bag and show you guys everything from my camera gear to my emergency camping gear to my diving gear, what sort of computer stuff that I use for the editing. Yeah, so it's been 2 years on the road. I've cut down probably about half the stuff that I consider like mandatory to bring. And this is what I'm left with. So here's the glimpse. All right, so I'm gonna break this up into 4 sections for you guys. So the first thing I'm gonna talk about is the camera gear that I'm bringing with me. First and foremost, if you're doing vlogging or you're doing YouTube or you're even doing Instagram full-time, a drone is absolutely essential. So what do I got? I got the Mavic 2 Pro. Got this not too long ago. It's got the Hasselblad camera on it. It's supposedly a 10mm lens, but it actually factors out to about 28 millimeters. It's a prime lens. There's no zoom. They do have the Mavic Pro zoom, but this Hasselblad has adjustable aperture and is just a superior camera in general for video. I got the 4 replacement blades. Remote comes with it. I have 2 extra batteries in addition to the one that I have in here. I have the adapter for charging. So essentially what this is for is using these as power banks. So I can just plug this in there like that. And then I can just plug, any USB 2, USB 3 into here, whether it's a phone or maybe the remote control, whatever it might be. Super convenient for, this little piece that weighs probably nothing to have on the go power banks without having to buy additional power banks, which can be really, really heavy. And then for video, and even for pictures on days where it's not too windy, I have the ND filter set. This is the standard ND filter set from DJI. It's got a 4, 8, 16, 32 ND, and so you can pretty much do everything with that and keep within, especially for video, if you're gonna stick to the rule of 180, which is that you want your shutter speed to be twice what your frames per second are, then these are gonna be essential. Especially if you wanna shoot in 4K, which gives you limited frames per second options. All right, for camera gear, I'm actually gonna bring 2 bodies this time because there's a lot of situations where I need 2 bodies of cameras, and I already have plenty of lenses. I narrowed down the lenses to 1 prime lens, 1 wide angle, and then 1 kind of everyday lens. So here's what I got. This is like my go-to lens. It's the G Master. It's a f2.8 and 24-70. I have the Nissi landscape polarizer on here, which I absolutely love. You can get another polarizer. I'm not even sure that Nissi will sell the landscape polarizer separately. You can certainly give it a shot, but I love it. It has that nice kind of purple hue to it and creates some really nice colors. The wide angle lens that I have is just the G. It's not a G Master, but it is the 12-24. It's a full frame mount, and so it fits natively on the camera bodies that I have. The biggest downside to this lens is that you can't put any filters on it really, because you see this hood on the front. This is not removable from what I can tell. I've tried everything to get it off, and that thing is not coming off. But it's gonna do what I need it to do, which is to shoot architecture and to shoot interiors. And so this was kind of essential, at least for us, because we're doing a lot of hotel shoots and things like that. So this is probably something, if you're just doing vlogging and things like that, you may not need to put this in your bag, but you see this convex lens on it. It actually can create some really cool, like similar kind of fisheye effects, depending on what you're shooting. The last one that I use, which is almost exclusively for video, is my Zeiss 35mm 1.4 prime. I absolutely love this lens. You see, I got it attached to my camera setup. This is kind of like my go-to camera setup for video. But what I have here, it's the Zeiss, like I said, 1.4, 35mm. It's got the aperture ring, which makes it really, really convenient. I have the DJI Ronin S with focus follow, and they just updated the DJI Ronin S to be able to do follow focus with the Sony a7 III, which you can see is what I have attached here. Really excited about what Sony's doing in terms of innovation and adding features to the Sony cameras. You know, like for this one, we've been complaining for, I mean, since the 2, or really since the Alpha series, that Sony didn't come with time-lapse features or interval shooting. Well, they just added interval shooting into it, plus the functionality to do the follow focus with the DJI Ronin S. And so really, to me, this is like the perfect cinematic rig that I could possibly think of. Okay, the other camera that I'm bringing is my A7R II. This is the one that I originally started out with 2 years ago. I actually, we have a lot of stories about the A7R II and some tragedies that took place with it. But that being said, it's back to full functioning order, and I really use this one strictly for photography because it's 42 megapixels compared to the 24 megapixels of the A7R III. Now, while the A7 III. So while the 3 has some additional features and functions that are great for video or for doing Instagram shoots with built-in intervalometer, better autofocus with dual pixel autofocus. If I'm gonna do landscape shots, or if I'm gonna do like product shots or anything like that, I'm gonna use the A7R II. This is just gonna give me a lot more sharpness, a lot more detail, a lot more flexibility when it comes to post-processing. And so this is my go-to camera really when it comes down to creating professional images. I'm bringing the Arsenal. So I don't know if you guys have heard of this. The Arsenal is the new, it was a big Kickstarter campaign. It's supposed to be this artificially intelligent camera assistant that takes thousands and thousands of pictures and compares it to the subjects that you're trying to shoot, and then gives you the settings that it thinks that you need, and then outputs the photo. I've played around with it a little bit. I've been disappointed so far, just in terms of some of the limitations in like the quality that you can shoot with. It looks like you may only be able to shoot in JPEG format, and I always shoot in RAW, so that could be a huge downside. I haven't played with it a lot, that's why I'm bringing it. And so I'll probably do, once we get to the Philippines, which is where we're going next, maybe a tutorial or at least like a day walk around, like testing it out and telling you guys what we think. The tripod that I'm using is a pretty lightweight. It's it's carbon fiber, and it's a Surui brand. The reason that I bought the Surui was because of the 7-year warranty, and I actually did have to send it in while I was at home. One of the rivets had come out on the top right here, and so the ball head would not stay on. That was a big problem. I literally had it just jimmy rigged and taped up for a while. But I was really impressed with Surui service. Sent it in. They did not only this repair, but they did basic maintenance on it. Serviced all of the threads and everything like that. put new grease on, and fix the ball head. I had one of these tension knobs was jammed. They fixed that right up, and it's working perfectly now, ready to go. It's like a brand new tripod. In terms of extras, really what I'm bringing is, this is an adjustable ND filter. It's like an ND4 to ND10, and so this I can use for a lot of video stuff. So I got the step-up ring. I can use this on the 82 millimeter G Master 24-70, or I can use it on the Prime Zeiss, which is a 72 millimeter, and then I have the step-up ring 72 to 82, so I can use that on both. I have my Commander remote, which, you know, to tell you the truth, the only thing I use it for is shutter or start and stop. I don't really use it for any of the other controls. You certainly can, but you can get this thing for like 20 bucks, and it's got a range, if you got a full battery, of maybe 15, 20 feet. It's not a huge range, but it's certainly better than being tethered if you're trying to do, like, you know, couple shots like Surf and I do. And then I have 4 extra batteries for that. My Sarui bag, this is just full of batteries right now. I have about 10 batteries across the 2 cameras. The A7R2 has significantly longer battery length, so I have 4 batteries for that one, and then I have 6 batteries for the A7R2. Yeah, so total of 10, and that is plenty. I've never ran out of juice with that amount of batteries. The last thing, cleaning kit. I'll show you what I got in my cleaning kit. Pretty basic stuff. I got 2 blowers. I got 1 cleaning solution. I have 1 duster with the other end for inside your lens. Don't use this on your sensor, please, please, please. A lot of people think you can use this on your sensor. It's just going to create lots of problems for you. Last thing that I'm going to call out for camera stuff is my portable Rode mic. This is the most miniature professional shotgun mic that I could find. It's great. It fits right into the hot shoe on either of the cameras. It's got a 3¼ millimeter hookup, which will hook up to either one of the cameras just fine. Most cameras on the market now. Easy to transport, and it's got really good quality. Let's talk about my dive stuff. So I am huge into diving. I don't bring that much though in terms of diving. Like, I try to go bare minimum. So I'll just quickly show you what I bring along for diving. So obviously I have my underwater camera, which is a GoPro. Been using the GoPro Hero 6. Looking forward to using the GoPro Hero 7, which I'm using today. I'll show you what I got. Underwater housing, which is good up to and beyond 40 meters, which is what I'm approved for. And then I have my underwater orange lens filter. This is going to give you more colors if you go deeper, and it's going to show a little bit more contrast underwater. So one thing that I'll do, here's a little dive tip for you guys. Before you're even going to shoot with this filter, and this just pops off pretty easily, I will take this off and I will dive with this over one eye so that I can see an extra maybe 5 meters compared to everyone else to see what's out there, depending on the visibility and the plankton and the various sediment that's down wherever it is that you're diving. But this is going to create more contrast for you, so you can use it as a dual tool. So use this for locating subjects and then pop it on as you approach the subject to create a little bit more contrast underwater, because especially when you go deeper, it becomes harder and harder to distinguish between the environment and the subjects. So I highly recommend this for deeper diving. If you're only going to maybe 10 meters or something like that, you're not going to lose colors as much. So I would only recommend using the filter if you have between maybe 5 and 10 meters of visibility, and that's all. If you have more than that, I don't think that you need it, because it will actually mute some of the colors when you are at such a shallow depth. I have 4 batteries for the GoPro, and I have the quick charger here, which is a USB-C charger. I have my dive book, which coincidentally I got in Mobile, Philippines, and that's where we're going next. So bring your dive log, make sure to bring your certification cards, and if you have room for it, the only thing that I would really recommend is bringing your own mask, because some of the masks, particularly in Southeast Asia, they've just been used so many times that you cannot avoid getting them fogged up, pressure on your nose. Go out and figure out a good mask that you can get. Make that investment at least, and just bring this for diving. The rest, I've never had a problem with it. You can kind of tweak with your BCD and your your wetsuit to get that fitting correctly. You really don't need to bring that stuff. But mask, super important, especially if you want to be able to see anything under there, and if you're doing video and photography, to make sure that you can see the things that a lot of other people can't. This, I would say optional, but I like it for underwater. This is an underwater flashlight, 1,000 lumens, pretty small and compact. I can also use this obviously outside of the water as another torch, whether it's for photography or just walking around in the dark wherever I am. I have a 3-liter ocean pack, which fits everything that I need, and that is really all that I bring for my diving. And that's even more than I've brought in the past. I didn't even have a mask or a flashlight before this. These are 2 new additions. Okay, so in terms of like my, I don't know, I guess I call it like my survival stuff, but it's more just like knickknacks or the things that you don't really think of. And I'll go through the things that I have here. So I bring utensils. I bring 2 sets for Surf and I, because a lot of times when we're in hotels, they just don't have utensils, and we want to go out and we want to buy breakfast, or we want to buy even just like some fruits or something like that, and they just don't have anything to eat it with. So I bring 2 sets, just plastic utensils, and these generally work for the duration of our trip, which in this case is probably going to be about 9 to 12 months. I bring 1 Sharpie, 1 mechanical pencil, and 1 pen. This is really specifically for camera gear. I probably should have put this in the camera section, but an Allen wrench that is the standard for your mounting tools that you put on the bottom. So for example, on my Sony a7R II, you see I have the mount down here for the tripod, and these are pretty standard nowadays, but this is the correct Allen wrench to be able to screw that in real tight. Now I know if you've used cameras before, you know that these can get kind of loose sometimes. It makes it really hard to do any sort of portrait photography. So getting one of these Allen wrenches and getting that screwed in there nice and tight is going to help create a tight bond and reduce any of the looseness that you might get. Everything that I buy takes, if it doesn't take a specialty battery like the GoPro or the cameras, then I want it to take AAA's, because I don't want to carry around 4 or 5 different types of batteries. And so I have just Duracells, I love Duracells. They last the longest. I don't have to worry about them. They take up less room and less weight in the bag because I know they're gonna last the longest. So I brought, a set of, I think I have 8 Duracells right now, 1 lighter, 2 books of matches just for emergency situations, tape. I only put 1 roll of tape out here, but I actually have like 4 different rolls of tape. Tape just it comes in so handy in so many different situations that I would certainly recommend just buying a thing of medical tape, throwing that in the bag, and you will find 1,000 uses for it, guaranteed. My first aid kit, it's really just got antiseptic, it's got plenty of Band-Aids, painkillers, 2 smelling salts just for hiking accidents potentially, and I think that's it. We added motion sickness because Surf gets a little motion sickness sometimes, but she powers through it for the most part and refuses to take the pills. But I keep them in there anyways, just in case. So I just use a small one. I mean, this is like old school, like my dad's, like from the 60s probably, the Cutter Trail Pack. Obviously had to replace everything, but that works just fine. My other light source will be my headlamp. Comes in super handy, especially doing photography, astrophotography. Don't have to, it's hands-free, so I just pop it on the head. I can see everything that's going on. Helps me get to my location, get back to my location, and I think that this is like a must-have. The extra functions, usually on the headlamps, you'll find that it has some extra features with colors, and so this one is red, green, and blue. So it's great because I can actually do different colored lights, like if I'm going to do light painting or something like that in photography, that I can give it a red hue, green, blue. If I'm creating light leaks, I can use any of those colors. If I'm trying to create light flares that I can add into videos, I can use any of those colors. So it gives me a lot of flexibility, creative flexibility plus functional flexibility. Another one like tape is a bag of bags. That's literally all it is. These are the double zip Ziploc bags. We're going to the Philippines, we're going to Indonesia, we're going to Southeast Asia. There's a lot of water there. And if I need to store anything that I don't want any moisture to get into, or even if I just want to compartmentalize things for day trips or for, the matches, the lighter, whatever it might be, just having these bags around is super, super convenient. If you're going out on a boat, putting your phone in it, you don't have to go out and get one of those, specialty waterproof holders for your phone when you can go buy something just as good at a fraction of the cost and carry around 20 or 30 of them that give you uses for all sorts of things. So just go out and buy a thing of Ziploc freezer bags with a double zip on it, pack those into your bag, you'll thank me later. The 2 medications that I bring to Southeast Asia, one is Cipro, which is for any sort of foodborne illnesses that you might get. So I'll be straight up with you guys. If you're going to spend some time there, it's probably going to happen to you at least once. If you start seeing blood in the stool, start on Cipro right away. And in about 5 days, it's going to go away. Boom, it's taken care of. You're fine. The other medication that I bring is anti-malaria medication. Some doctors will recommend, if it's a short trip, to take this before you leave on the trip for a certain regimen to prevent it. In my case, I'm going for 9 months to a year, and so I am not going to do preventative. It's the same medication that you'd be prescribed to treat malaria if you were to get it. And so that's something you definitely want to keep in your bag, just in case. I've been on the road for 2 years in places that are pretty high propensity for malaria, or at least they're considered high risk. I've never gotten it myself because I try to take the preventative measures, which would be, lathering myself up with, like something like this, quit bugging me. I use all natural stuff, lemongrass, soy oil, tea tree oil, things like that. And it definitely reduces the number of bites that I get. It's not 100% foolproof, but it's gonna certainly limit your potential risk for contracting malaria from a mosquito bite. So I would say definitely bring some mosquito repellent. If you don't bring it, you can pretty much get it anywhere. Just look for ones that are, heavy in like the lemongrass area. The DEET, I don't recommend. It's super cancerous, and for me that's going to be using it for a year, I don't want to be spraying myself with something carcinogenic every single day. The last four things, obviously this is a given. Bring your passport. Okay, I got the bigger passport, the 50-page, which is not any more expensive than the smaller one. So if you need a passport, you might as well just go for the bigger one if you're getting it in the US, because it's free for an upgrade, and they don't do adding pages anymore. I have an international driving permit that I got. This was shockingly easy to get. I thought that I would have to go through like some sort of testing and fill out forms and things like that. Literally all I had to do was walk down to AAA and tell them I wanted an international driver's license. I paid them $20 and I gave them 2 passport pictures, US size passport pictures, and they gave me an international driver's license. I'm not even a member of AAA and they gave me the international driver's license. Super easy to get. If you plan on doing any driving, whether it's 2-wheel, 4-wheel, go down there and get your international driver's license. I did get vaccinations, so depending on where you're going, you're going to want to check and make sure that you have the vaccinations you need for the particular country that you're going to. They're going to give you a yellow card, okay? It looks like this, all right? At least in the US, and I actually think that they do this in most other countries. It's going to list all of the different vaccinations that you got. So for me, I got typhoid, I got Hep ABC, I got rabies, I got yellow fever. So I'm covered for pretty much all of Africa, Southeast Asia, and South America. If you're only going to one particular place, just check out and see what it is that you need. Get that stamped or filled out by somebody on your yellow card. Usually there's travel clinics that you can go to that'll actually tell you what you need given the places that you're going. Last thing I'd recommend is to bring one of these belts, especially if you're going to bring cash or you're going to store, your international driver's license, extra credit cards, which I would recommend bringing in case one of your credit cards stops working. Store your yellow card, maybe your passport in one of these under your pants belts. So this just wraps around, stick it under your pants, and you can keep pretty much anything that you don't want to get stolen or you don't want lost. The last thing I'll call out here is my microfiber quick dry towel. This has come in clutch in tons of situations, especially if you're staying at hostels or anywhere that may not have a towel. If you're staying at beach locations and you want it just to dry off when you get out. If you're going diving or you're going snorkeling, just a quick towel that you can use. It's going to dry really fast. That's something that I'm going to always keep in my bag. Last thing that I'm going to talk about is my computer processing. So I use a MacBook Pro. I got this about 2 years ago when it was new with the Retina display. It has been great for me for 2 years. It still works great for me. I didn't get a whole ton of memory on it because I knew that I would be using external hard drives. I have stuck with the Seagate external hard drives because the first one that I bought that I traveled with for a year had no problems, no corruption. I mean, it was battered around quite a bit. And so I've stuck with Seagate. I've also stuck with Seagate because of their proprietary plugs. So now I have four, let's see, 1, 2, 3 hard drives that I'm carrying around that all take the same plug, which gives me backup in case one of the cords goes bad. I can still use a cord from one of the other Seagates that I bought. So I have one 2 terabyte, and then I have 2 4 terabytes. I use one as a backup drive for the computer and for my my videos. I use Amazon Photo. Because I have Amazon Prime, I can use Amazon Photo unlimited storage for my photos, so I don't back those up on my hard drives to save space. The others I just use as my working drives. So here are the 3 that I have. That's the 4 terabyte. This is the original 2 terabyte, and this is the 4 terabyte that I just got. So here's the MacBook that I use. I use a Magic Mouse with it for all of my editing. And then I have, because it only has USB-C ports, I have a USB-C hub here. So USB-C to, I mean, pretty much everything. It's got a LAN port, HDMI, VGA, and then it has 4 USB 3 ports on the other end. That works really good. And then on top of that, oh, and it has my memory card ports here, so for mini SD and regular SD cards. And then I also have 2 Apple proprietary USB-C to USB drives. I got a bag full of cords. I basically have a duplicate of every single cord that I need, because there's a lot of times where they're just not available wherever I am, and I absolutely need them. So I keep them in just my waterproof bag here, all my charging stuff, extra cords, just great to keep them all in one place. And the last thing, which is an awesome addition on this trip, I'm canceling my cell phone plan, and I got this TEP wireless device. And what this does is it gives me Wi-Fi access in almost every country that I'm going to. In fact, I think it'll give it to me in every country that I'm going to this time. It connects to the local 4G or 3G system and then provides me wireless with the subscription to TEP, which is super reasonable compared to what I was paying for my phone plan just for 200 megabytes of data. I was paying like $200 a month if I wanted any data or texting service. So I'm getting rid of the plan. I'm going with the TEP wireless. I haven't used it yet internationally, so we'll see how it goes, but it looks really, really promising. Okay, that is pretty much it. Let me scan one more time, make sure I didn't forget anything else that I'm bringing. You know, I can talk about clothes a little bit, like I'm going to Southeast Asia, so I'm not bringing all that much. It's mostly board shorts and tank tops. I'm trying to keep that super light because, as you can see, this is like a fair amount of stuff. If I was going to Scandinavia, for example, I would have to cut this stuff probably in half. I use a Gregory 75 liter backpack, and then I also have my Peak Designs camera bag, which I've had for 2 years. I would not switch from it. It's been just an absolute machine. I'll let you take a look. But it carries my tripod and can literally fit everything that I have laid out here for camera stuff, if you can believe it. With the exception of the Ronin S. That has its own case, which we carry, which has been a pain. I'll be honest with you. Here's the Ronin S case that we have to carry around. Luckily, I give it to Surf, and I think that she's pretty enough that they don't ask questions about her carrying 2 carry-ons, especially onto airplanes. Yeah, the case actually gives us an opportunity to bring some extra stuff. So here's a bonus for you guys. Here's those tapes that I was talking about, the 3 extra rolls of tape that I have. And then for Instagram's stories and things like that, I have just a little tripod for our phone cameras. But that is it, guys. Going to Southeast Asia. Gonna be there for 9 to 12 months, and this is everything that I'm bringing. You know, I have basic toiletries that I got in the bag, but I'm not bringing that much. I can get most of what I need over there. Talked about clothes. I'm going super bare minimum on clothes. And this is it. And we'll see what we can make with all this. And we'll see how well the GoPro Hero 7 did with this little vlog, little as in 40-minute vlog that I did about what we're bringing to Southeast Asia. Of course, this is only half of the stuff that we're bringing, because Surf is going to be bringing, you know, her stuff. Luckily, she's bringing mostly her gorgeous clothing for photo shoots, and I have most of the camera stuff. So I'll be able to pass a little bit onto her to lug around. But that's it, guys. So I'm gonna link all of the stuff that I'm using on the road in the description down below. So you can click on those and go directly to Amazon if you want to get any of the stuff that I'm using. I'll try to find the best deals on what I'm using for you guys. If you have any questions, then go ahead and put them in the comments section, and we'll definitely get back to you on any of the questions or concerns that you might have. If you have recommendations, also put those in there. If you don't see something here that you think that I probably should have considered, let me know about that. And as usual, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so that you guys can be notified when we have new video guides coming out. We're going to do travel guides for Philippines, Indonesia, Java. We're going to try to go to Polynesia, French Polynesia, and then we don't know where we're going to end up after that. But we're definitely going to make some awesome videos and take some awesome photos out of it. Check us out on Instagram at Surf and Turf Travel with underscores in between all of them. Surf underscore and underscore turf underscore travel. Boom. We love you guys, and we'll see you next time.